Hi, welcome to the Wisdom of Everything channel, the channel where you learn everything you need to know to become the hero version of yourself. In this video, you'll discover 5 signs of trust. They are key principles based on the science and psychology of trust that will help you evaluate if a person is trustworthy or not.
Woohoo!
Ever since humans started to live in tribes, people saw the benefits of cooperation. It became clear that those who helped each other received help in return and eventually were better off in the long run because it benefited both parties. However, for positive collaboration to happen, we need to be able to rely on others, and so trust is an essential part of our society. But often, we put our trust in the wrong toxic people manipulating us for their own benefits, leaving us behind with regret and a devastating feeling. So, we need to protect ourselves from those negative people by understanding the mechanics behind trust, and focus on building interpersonal relationships with trustworthy people who help us on our journey to becoming the best version of ourselves. But how can we know if someone is trustworthy or not? Well, first of all, imagine that someone is telling you that he would stop drinking, but then later that night, ends up in his bed full of vomit, as a result of drinking too much. Will you trust this guy the next time he says that he will stop drinking? Probably not. So, essentially, someone you can trust really commits themselves to the things they say. In other words, they are consistent and act with integrity. As a matter of fact, this also means that they will act as expected. And by acting as expected, they create a sense of predictability. And this predictability creates trust. For example, imagine that you have to leave your cute little owl alone for a couple of hours. If he is unpredictable, you will never know if he would leave you with an unexpected surprise. And as a result, you won't feel comfortable when you are away. Instead, if each time you come back there is no surprise, then you can put your trust in your cute little owl. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. But what if he always leaves you with a not-so-well-smelling surprise? Then he is also predictable, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Which makes it possible to prepare yourself for that and make considerable measurements. However, trust is more than just acting as expected and being consistent. Trust is also about having good intentions, or goodness in general. Like in the example of the cute little owl, the owl that behaves well is trustworthy and reliable. Because you know it is capable of taking care of itself, and nothing wrong will happen when you leave it free and alone in the house. On the other hand, the owl that always leaves you with poop needs to be left alone in a controlled environment, with limitations on his freedom. Like a prisoner in a cell. So, someone who is trustworthy will act with good intentions, and always try to reach a win-win agreement. Even so, that when there is no win-win, there is no agreement at all. For example, imagine that you are in a negotiation regarding a certain deal, and you find yourself in the worst position. So the counterpart at the table has enough buying power to negotiate a win-lose agreement. But instead, he only wants to pursue the deal if it is a win-win for both parties. This is a serious sign of trust. The person in front of you literally tells you that it cares more about a positive, sustainable relationship than personal gains. Besides being consistent, acting as expected, and goodness, competency also plays a crucial role. Knowing how competent someone is with the things you trust them with will determine the level of trust. For example, when you go to a doctor, you trust him with its ability to heal your wounds. You trust in the fact that he is a certified doctor. You trust him to be experienced, and so on. Therefore, we always look for signs of competence that gives us information about someone's capabilities to determine the level of trust. Finally, someone that takes responsibility for his actions, even though he or she made a mistake, is a sign of trustworthiness. Saying sorry and taking responsibility is an act of courage often seen in people of integrity. Meaning that they follow their moral or ethical values, and try to do the right thing in all circumstances, even if no one is watching. It is a key trait of great leaders and thus, also of great people. So to conclude, trust is about being consistent with what you say, acting as expected, having good intentions and thinking in win-win relationships, having the competencies to succeed, and taking responsibility for your actions. These 5 signs and principles will help you to distinguish untrustworthy from trustworthy people. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about trust and discover 6 reasons why you can't trust anyone, then click on this video card. And remember, follow us everywhere you can to become wiser every week.
Woohoo!